Morning, Dr. Seevali Jayawickrama.
Good
Uh,
morning.
Morning. Just first, initially, just tell me, uh, can you explain what SLADA is and the role that it plays in sports medicine?
Yes, a good question that you asked, Pati. Sri Lanka Anti-Doping Agency was established in year 2013 through a parliamentary act, that is Convention Against Doping in Sport. And before that, we did dope testing, but uh, it was under the Institute of Sports Medicine. And so we are the people who treat the players who come for injuries, and we are the people who give lectures or awareness regarding how to prevent injuries. And the fitnesses are concerned, then fitness concerned, then nutrition, then if they have any psychological problem, especially when they have to, competition time. And those are the areas that we covered. And we did testing also. But if somebody might ask whether there is any transparency, because we are the people who treat them, giving all the instructions, what type of food, what type of nutrients that they have to take, and and we take the urine samples. If somebody becomes positive, we are the people who have the inquiry and give the sanctions.
Yeah.
And so that's why the reason that we wanted to have it separately. And in 2013, as I said before,
Yeah.
that it was passed by the parliament. And I have to say this, if you take the history of doping in sports, this has been coming since 1920, for your
Yeah.
information. And in 1960s, that it worked really, you know, to see in one of the Olympics, one cyclist collapsed and passed away. And in his post-mortem, they found that he has taken an excessive dose of a stimulant. So then the medical commission was established by the International Olympic Committee, and then FIFA, the football federation, plus the cycle federation in the world, they came up with their way of, how to tackle doping in sports. So it has been there for a while, but it has progressed so much in the last, you can say, 15, 20 years, after I think Ben Johnson's
Yeah.
stanozolol case, if you take up, because in 1988, I think in Seoul Games, all expected Carl Lewis to win 4 medals to beat Jesse Owens' record of 3 gold medals. So, but unexpectedly, Ben Johnson won few meters with a lead, and but it lasts only for 2 3 days because they did the test and they found that he was positive for steroids. So since then, if we take up sports, it has become more professional. There's a lot of money coming into the sport, and sometimes these sportsmen also, they think whether there is any way of how we can achieve this.
But Olympic sport is a amateur based sport now.
Yes, but that is every 4 years you get it. But in between, there are Grand Prix tournaments. Then not only now when we think about Olympics, you get about 25 sporting disciplines. Now they are increasing also. Now from 2020, rugby is also be a sport which has been included. Likewise, but the rest of the years, there are so many tournaments and a lot of money is brought into. So sometimes, these players also get somehow, carried away, get stimulated, right, to take up something and see whether they can perform well.
Now, when did you people, Sri Lankans, get this awareness of such a thing is happening and it's not good for your metabolism?
Yes, if you take the history of doping in sports in Sri Lanka, in 1991 South Asian Games, which was held at Sugadasa Stadium, we did some testing. Since then, we have been carrying on randomly, mostly in athletics, which we were performing in the international level. And after 96, that we became world champs, then cricket took over from athletics, you can say. And since then, we have been, doing these tests randomly. And there are certain sports which are vulnerable, means, that we get to hear from a lot of sources saying that, they are taking performance enhancing drugs. So since then, we need to do this testing, and we were going on, and from year 2000, I can say about 65 there had been positive cases in Sri Lanka.
But now I see uh, now in the latter years the schools their names coming quite frequent, and there have been accusations that even school children are up to this drug taking, at least the stimulants.
Yes, now that's what I wanted to know. I have already given you that base,
Yeah.
that the money which is spinning in the circle. Now, for instance, if you take rugby, schools rugby in Sri Lanka, they spend a lot of money. Each school spends millions of rupees, especially for these supplements, and to see whether the school can maintain that level of rugby. And even the old boys of the schools who are managing the rugby
So
development.
before that, can you just give me? Now you said something about supplements. Can you just explain what these supplements are, because it can be good and bad both.
Yes, now that's why. So there is more competition, and they want to keep the competition going, and they have found, because we know that the nutrition is a essential part in performance, because whatever the food that you take, that you have to use it as energy to gain that power, speed, strength, agility, flexibility, all the components which is needed to be a very good sportsman. So nutrition is the key. Sometimes, we are not taking the maximum of certain professionals like nutritionists, sports nutritionists, because they can assess what's the amount each player needs, and then according to that they can have a dietary schedule which can be given to the parents, saying that this is the diet that your son or daughter needs to perform well, and this is the assessment that we have done, and whether you see whether you can carry on with it in a proper manner, and see whether there is any performance enhancing from natural food is concerned. Now, we know the main three fuels in nutrition is carbohydrates, proteins, and the fat. Now, carbohydrates is the main source that we burn as energy when we are taking part. Protein will support with the strengthening part when you are doing strengthening, because all these muscle tissues are made out of collagen, which are proteins. So for that, we need adequate amount of protein for the age-wise, height-wise, that we have to calculate with the weight. And also we need to think about the body fat percentage. If a person who has body fat extra, we have to cut down through exercise. And if you want to maintain that weight, then you have to replace with proteins to get the muscle tone instead of the fat which was there. So you have to replace with that. And meanwhile you want to maintain the weight also. So it is more scientific. The way that we are thinking is different. Nowadays what happens, players might come and say that we are not getting adequate proteins. And there are supplements which are being in the market. And now a lot of nutraceuticals or pharmaceutical companies, they manufacture this whey protein and branch and amino acids, etc. So that might be needed if we are not getting the adequate amount of proteins from our normal diet. So that has to be calculated. But what I have seen with my experience speaking with the players and the administrators, we find the same amount of protein, whey protein is given to all the players, that they are not bothered to find out what's the body fat level that these people are having, not the weight wise that it has to be given as the quantity that which is needed to a player. So it is not happening at the moment. So that's why we say that, during our days, Pati, we have to directly deal with the coach. Now, there's a support staff. There's a nutritionist, physiotherapist, masseur, then psychologist, sports physician. All this, have to be there to see product that we need from their performance. Because there are no shortcuts for this. Because some days think that, supplements can help to perform well. No way. Always we have to think that whether our nutritional level is okay, whether our hydration is okay, whether we are getting adequate rest, whether we are having minimum of 6 to 7 hours of continuous sleep, and whether we are practicing regularly according to the schedule. And there are training principles that we have to follow. So these are things that has to be considered if you want to perform well.
So this you are talking about schools and other
Generally,
sports in general.
In general.
But now, what is the age, like the minimum age that a young athlete could be introduced to stimulants?
Supplements rather.
Supplements or whatever.
Yeah, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now the thing is that young children, teenagers, right? They grow up, and their growth spurt will stop around at the age of 18 or 19. So they can start at the age of 17 and a half or 18 if they need it, and it should be given by a specialist in nutrition after assessing the player, the requirement. All that has to be done. So, but for example, now for a rugby player, you might need about 1.4 to 1.5 grams per body weight in kilograms. For example, if a 50 kilogram person, you might, if it might need about 70 grams
Of
of proteins
Yeah.
per day. So it can be calculated through the food items that we have in this country. And if we cannot get that amount, then the remaining part can be taken from the supplement. But it happens the other way around. Most of these children, they take supplements and leaving the home cooked food aside. This is what most of the parents come and speak to us. Because some of these coaches, trainers, they say that, if you want to perform, you need to have this. And they are being forced to use it. But when it keeps, because we have to think about the health of the player, and there won't be, repercussions in the shorter period of time. But when they become about 25, 30 years, then we will see how the health deteriorates. So this, I think the parents especially has to take notice about it, because otherwise we might produce some sick people in this country. We need healthy citizens.
Yeah, but now the other day when you were talking to me, you said that you're in the process of introducing this to the school's curriculum.
Yes.
But is it happening, or will this just be another discussion and?
Yeah, now we have to meet with the officials from the Ministry of Education also to see from grade 8, 9, 10. Because we wanted to, there is health and physical education subject that the students have to follow. So we wanted to include for 3 years and about anti-doping awareness to the players. Then they will know.
Who is going to teach it to the?
Because there are trained physical instructor teachers in schools, PTIs, they are called, and they are the ones who teach these students the health education part. So they will be able to,
So you will be guiding them.
Yeah, guiding means now, normally the curriculum is made by the National Institute of Education, NIE, and we have to have discussions with them, and then they will come out with a proper proposal about what should be in the curriculum, because they will see how the other countries also are tackling about this subject is concerned. And so we are ready to speak about it and see how we can go ahead with this.
No, but at the same time, you say that about now these substances or the proteins or whatever it is freely available. There is no, now you can buy it over the counter.
Yes, good question that you raised. Now it has come because these are some substances are there which are not being registered under the Food and Drug Act. So, and there are other substances like hormones, steroids, erythropoietins, which are brought to the country without registering, because these are medicine which are being used for certain diseases are concerned. But these are being introduced to athletes.
Can you just elaborate? At
Yeah.
least one.
Yeah, I will say that now there is this anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids, then there is this hormones which are being introduced and hormone modulators which are being there. that is in which, the anabolic steroids are similar to the male hormones, and it will provide more muscular among the players, and it helps to a certain extent to do more and more exercises to get rid of the fat percentage of the body. And this is very common among bodybuilding sportsmen, weightlifters, rugby players, athletes who are doing short distance running, and they because that will help them to improve with their timing, strength, power, etc. So, but that's why it has been banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency, which will not be there clear level of feel to perform.
But how would my son know that this drug is banned or whatever if I want to?
Yeah, but there is a prohibited list every year that been published by the World Anti-Doping Agency. For example, for next year, 2018, from January 1st to 31st of December, the 2018 prohibited list will be valid. So 2017, the prohibited list will be over after 31st December 2017. So every year there will be a new list which will be published by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So we carry out the same list and we translate into Sinhala and Tamil, and it will be gazetted in all three languages. But unfortunately it is in scientific names, so the best way is that you need to inquire from a sports nutritionist or sports physician about what type of things that
Should be taken.
players should be taken. That is one. And there are, in the social media we find that certain institutions, they come out with, stating limited stock, this will give more performance than other medicine and all that, and there is no side effects, but all has side effects. I can mention few of those. If you take steroids, the side effects will be, there will be acne, the pimples will start to appear, and the other thing is that the chest will become, enlarged, right? Your breast will get enlarged. That is a male is concerned. If you take the males, if they take the steroids, these are the changes that you might be able to see. Pimples or acne in the face and other parts of the body. 2, baldness. 3, the chest becomes enlarged and your breast will change into a condition called gynecomastia, and your genitourinary system, if you take, the testicles will become, shrinked, and infertility can occur, and it will affect the heart, the liver, and the kidney. When you take a female, it's the opposite. Their breast tissues start to lose, hair all over the face, back, and arms they will get, and very rough voice that they, and the same things that I told about the genitourinary conditions also will change, infertility, then they will have irregular periods, and sometimes there will be amenorrhea. All that can occur. So these are the side effects which can occur among the people who are taking steroids constantly.
But doctor, are these drugs freely available now at the
Yes,
moment?
now for example, most of the cases that became positive, when we questioned from the players, they came out with that there are certain people, a mobile group which is there, they come and give the injection vial, and then they asked to repeat about twice before the competition that they normally try to neutralize. What they do is they will provide with hormone modulators, that is anti-estrogenic, that is being used for cancerous patients, right? Where it will the whatever the steroids that they have taken, it will, the strength will brought down, where sometimes it will not get detected when it is being taken during the urine samples taken during the competition time. So, but
That is masking.
masking, yes, that is masking, and but they have become positive. These things also we got to hear from the people who became positive, and there had been, now growth hormone also being sold, and these are given by the endocrinologist during the growth of children. If there abnormality or there is some difficulty of the growth spur is concerned, so that is been given after doing the investigations, right? But these are freely available in this supplement shops. I don't know how they bring it and how they sell it. So that's what we are trying to get with the National Medical Regulatory Board to see how we can stop this medicine going to these type of people, because most of that the young boys, they like to get their body, the muscles are being built well, and they want to show others, and they want to wear some slim fit shirts where the muscles
Yeah.
bulky, and to show others that they are quite fit and
Manly.
all that, manly and all that. So that's how things are being, marketed and being sold, and so that's why I'm saying to the parents that you have to be vigilant always, because it is your responsibility to see what your children takes as supplements, whether they have got some special advice from the professionals. Parents also get carried away by seeing another person taking, and without any instructions, they also try to get the same stuff for their children. So this is something that you have to change with your views, and always the sports medicine doctors are there to support you, and we are also there to give advice, and we are always ready to provide awareness to schools, clubs, and we want to train people in this regard, and if there are any volunteers, right, we will be able to get them also to come and work in hand to make this menace becoming an epidemic
Yeah, finally, doctor, now is there a way of bringing legislation to at least have some control over this?
Yeah, that is what I was telling you before, that we have to discuss with the Ministry of Health officials. We have already started, and there is a committee that already under discussion about it, and in a few months' time I think we might be able to bring legislation into it. So till then I think we need to be more vigilant regarding our children concerned, and even the adults also, because I personally feel health comes first than anything else, not just having
Not a beautiful
short
body.
time. Huh?
Not a beautiful body for a short time.
Short time, that's what. And that's something that we have to think of.
Thank you, doctor.